The space station floated like a silver flower in the darkness. Its metal petals stretched out in every direction, catching the light from distant stars. Inside, thousands of aliens moved through the long hallways. Some walked on two legs. Others floated in special tubes filled with liquid. A few rolled on wheels built into their bodies. They all had one thing in common today. They were all nervous. Captain stood in the docking bay of the human ship. He checked his uniform one more time. The dark blue fabric felt heavy on his shoulders, but he was used to it. Behind him, his crew waited. Lieutenant stood at attention, her eyes sharp and focused. Doctor carried her medical kit, always ready to help. Jin, the engineer, kept looking at the alien technology around them with wonder in his eyes. "Remember," said quietly, "we are guests here, be polite, be careful. This is humanity's first real contact with other species. Let's make a good impression." Nodded, "Yes, sir, though I wonder why they seem so scared of us." Had wondered the same thing. When their ship arrived at the station, the aliens had asked them to wait in the docking bay for an hour. Security teams had scanned their ship 20 times. Strange robots had tested the air around them. It was like the aliens expected monsters, not diplomats. The large door finally opened. A creature walked through. It looked like a giant insect with 6 legs and 4 arms. Its body was covered in blue-green plates that clicked when it moved. 2 large eyes on stalks turned to look at the humans. "Greetings," the creature said. Its voice came from a device on its chest, translating its clicks into English. "I am Ambassador of the Galactic Council. Welcome to." Stepped forward and smiled. "Thank you, Ambassador. I am Captain of Earth. This is my crew. We are honored to be here." Stalks pulled back slightly. The creature took a small step backward. "Yes, well, please follow me. The council is waiting to meet you." As they walked through the station, noticed something odd. Every alien they passed stopped and stared. Some pressed themselves against the walls. Others quickly moved into side rooms. A small, furry creature dropped the box it was carrying and ran away. "Are we doing something wrong?" whispered. "I don't think so," Jin replied, "but they're definitely afraid of us." The hallway led to a large meeting room. Inside, a curved table held dozens of aliens. Each one looked different from the next. There were beings made of crystal, creatures that seemed to be made of living smoke, things that looked like floating jellyfish, and many more that couldn't even begin to describe. In the center of the table floated another alien. This one looked like a large, blue dolphin with hands instead of fins. It spoke in musical tones that the translator turned into words. "Welcome, humans of Earth," it said. "I am Council Speaker. We have been watching your world for many cycles. Now that you have achieved faster-than-light communication, we invite you to join the galactic community." Bowed slightly. "We are grateful for this invitation. Humanity has dreamed of meeting other intelligent life for centuries. We hope to learn from you and share what we know." "Yes, yes," said, "but first we must discuss some concerns." The speaker's voice became more serious. "We have analyzed the data about your world. Earth is unusual." One of the crystal beings spoke up. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. "Your planet has gravity 3 times what we consider normal. Most of us would be crushed under such weight." "Your atmosphere," added a smoke creature, "contains oxygen levels that would kill 70% of known species." "Your star bathes your world in radiation," another alien said. "Deadly radiation." Clicked forward. "Tell us, Captain, is it true that your world has creatures called bears that can weigh 400 kilograms and hunt in packs?" Looked confused. Bears don't usually hunt in packs, and most bears aren't that aggressive unless, several aliens shouted at once. "Well, unless you get near their cubs, or their food, or surprise them, or—" "And you live with these monsters?" asked. "They're not really monsters," said. "They're just animals. We have much more dangerous things on Earth. Sharks, crocodiles. Hippos kill more people each year than—" Enough, translator squealed. We have read the reports. Your world is classified as a Class 12, one of the most hostile planets we have ever discovered. How did your species even survive? The room fell silent, looked at his crew, then back at the council. He suddenly understood. These aliens came from easy worlds, safe worlds. They didn't know what it was like to fight for survival every single day. We survived, said slowly, because we had to. We learned to work together, we learned to adapt, we learned to overcome. But the danger, one alien began. Danger teaches you to be strong, said. It teaches you to be smart. It teaches you to take care of each other. Jin added, every challenge we faced made us better, made us tougher, made us more determined to survive. Floated closer, studying the humans carefully. You don't seem to understand. Your normal is our nightmare. The gravity you walk in would crush most of us. The air you breathe would poison us. The strength in your bodies, the speaker paused. Ambassador, please demonstrate standard greeting protocol. Moved forward carefully. It extended one of its 4 hands toward. On Earth, explained, we shake hands to show friendship. He reached out and gently took his hand, being as careful as he could. The ambassador's exoskeleton creaked. The alien's eye stalks went wide. When let go, pulled back its hand, checking for cracks. You barely touched me, said quietly, and I felt my shell nearly break. How strong are you? I'm not strong, said honestly. I'm just average for a human. The council chamber erupted in clicks, whistles, and musical notes as aliens spoke to each other in alarm. Finally, raised a fin for silence. Humans of Earth, the speaker said, you are welcome here, but you must understand, you are not like us. You evolved in hell and somehow managed to build a civilization. We don't know whether to be amazed or terrified. Smiled, be our friends, that's all we want. Yes, we come from a hard world, but that's made us who we are. We don't want to hurt anyone, we want to help, we want to learn, we want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Stepped forward, give us a chance, let us show you that can also be peacemakers. Looked at the other council members. Slowly, one by one, they made gestures that the translator marked as agreement. Very well, said. Welcome to the Galactic Council, humanity, though something tells me the galaxy will never be quite the same again. As they left the meeting room, Jin whispered to the others, did you see how scared they were, just from a handshake? We need to be very careful here, replied. We don't realize our own strength because everyone on Earth is like us. Here, we're the dangerous ones. Looked back at the closed door. I think they're going to learn something important about us. What's that? Asked. That the strongest people can also be the kindest. In the council chamber, turned to, what have we invited into our galaxy? Watched the humans walk away through a viewing screen. I don't know, but I suspect we're about to find out, and I suspect it will be interesting. The ambassador's eye stalks drooped. That's what worries me. 3 days had passed since the first meeting, and his crew had been given quarters in the station's diplomatic section. The rooms were strange. The beds were too soft. The gravity felt wrong, like walking on the moon. The air tasted flat and lifeless, but they were managing. Sat in the station's observation deck, watching ships come and go through the massive docking ports. Found him there, carrying 2 cups of coffee they had brought from Earth. Thought you might need this, she said, handing him a cup. Thanks, took a sip and smiled. Real Earth coffee, it tasted like home. How are the others? Jin is in engineering. The aliens invited him to see their systems. He's like a kid in a candy store. Sat down beside him. Is in the medical bay. She's fascinated by how many different types of biology exist here. And you? I've been walking around. Observing, sir, have you noticed how weak they are? I saw an alien struggling to lift a box that couldn't have weighed more than 5 kilograms. Another one was exhausted after walking up a single flight of stairs. Nodded, their worlds are easier than ours. They didn't need to become strong. They didn't need to become tough. Suddenly, alarms screamed through the station. Red lights flashed in every hallway. An automated voice announced something in a language they didn't understand, but the tone was clear. Emergency. And ran toward the command center. Other aliens were running too, but slowly, so slowly. The humans had to slow down to avoid running over them. They reached the command center and found chaos. Ambassador was there, along with and dozens of other council members. Screens showed multiple ships approaching the station. They weren't friendly. Raiders shouted. They're attacking the docking bays. How many security forces do you have? Asked. Turned to look at him. Security forces. We have diplomatic protection units. 50 personnel trained in conflict resolution and de-escalation. But they don't negotiate. They take what they want. 50? Said in disbelief. This station has a population of 50,000 and you only have 50 security. We are a peaceful society, explained. Violence is rare in council space. They are the exception. They come from a higher gravity world. They're stronger than most species, more aggressive, more. Let us help, interrupted. My crew can fight. Your diplomats said. We're humans, replied. On Earth, even diplomats know how to defend themselves. Before anyone could argue, an explosion rocked the station. The screens showed warriors tearing through the docking bay. They were large, reptilian creatures with thick scales and sharp claws. They moved fast, faster than any of the station's defenders. Made a decision. Get Jin and tell them to grab whatever gear we have. We're going to help whether the council approves or not. Sir, yes, sir. Ran from the room at a speed that made several aliens gasp. 10 minutes later, the 4 humans stood in the hallway leading to Docking Bay 3. They didn't have much. Standard sidearms that Earth regulations required on all diplomatic vessels, some basic protective gear. Mostly, they had themselves. Remember, said, these raiders are used to fighting weak opponents. They won't expect resistance. Use that. Jin checked his weapon. How strong do you think they are? Stronger than the station's defenders, said, but probably not stronger than us. They heard screaming from around the corner. A group of station workers ran past them, fleeing from 3 warriors. The raiders were 7 feet tall, covered in green scales, carrying weapons that looked like clubs with energy blades. One of them saw the humans and laughed. It was a terrible sound. More weaklings to rob, it growled in broken galactic common. Stepped forward, leave now and nobody gets hurt. The 3 laughed harder. The leader swung its club its head. Ducked under the swing, moving with reflexes trained by years on a high-gravity world where slow meant dead. His fist connected with the stomach. The raider flew backward and crashed into a wall. The other 2 stared in shock. The leader struggled to stand up, clearly confused about what had just happened. Last chance, said calmly, leave. The raiders attacked together this time, met the first one. She was smaller than they, but faster. She dodged its club, grabbed its arm, and used its own momentum to throw it to the ground. The raider's weapon skittered across the floor. Jin fought the third one. They tried to overpower him with raw strength, pushing him back. Jin set his feet, planted his weight, and pushed back. The raider's eyes went wide as Jin lifted it off the ground and threw it like a bag of grain. The fight was over in seconds. 3 warriors lay on the ground, groaning. None of them were dead, but all of them were defeated. From the shadows, Ambassador had watched everything. Behind the Ambassador, station security forces stood with their mouths open in shock. Hao whispered, "They are the strongest raiders in this sector. They've never been defeated so easily." "They're strong," said, breathing only slightly harder than normal. "But we come from a world where everything is trying to kill you. We learn to fight things bigger and meaner than us every day." More alarms sounded. The screen showed 8 more in Docking Bay 5 taking hostages. "Can you begin?" Already going, said. The humans ran down the hallway, moving at a pace that no other species on the station could match. They reached Docking Bay 5 to find a tense standoff. They had captured a dozen aliens and were using them as shields. Their leader, bigger than the others with red markings on his scales, held an energy blade to a small, furry alien's throat. "Everyone stays back or the hostages die," the leader roared. Analyze the situation quickly. The hostages were too close to the raiders for a direct assault. They needed a distraction. He whispered, "Can you reach that control panel on the left?" Looked and nodded. "Yes, what do you need?" "Kill the lights, count of 3. Moved quietly along the wall. Caught Sen Jin's eyes. They understood without words. Years of training together on Earth made them work like a single unit. 3 whispered. The lights went out. In the darkness, the humans moved. Their eyes adapted quickly, a trait from ancestors who hunted at dawn and dusk. They could see the silhouettes, confused and half-blind. Reached the leader first. He grabbed the raider's weapon arm and pulled it away from the hostage with strength that made the bones creak. The energy blade fell to the floor. And Jin took down 4 more raiders in the darkness. By the time turned the lights back on, all 8 were on the ground. The hostages were free. Not a single one was hurt. The freed aliens stared at the humans like they were seeing gods. One of them, a crystalline being, spoke in a voice full of awe. "You saved us. You moved so fast, so strong. What are you?" "Just humans," Jin said, helping the small furry alien to its feet. "Just people doing what's right." More station security arrived, along with ambassador and council speaker. They looked at the defeated raiders, then at the 4 humans who weren't even breathing hard. "In all my years," said slowly, "I have never seen anything like this. They have terrorized this sector for decades, and 4 of you defeated them in minutes." "They weren't that tough," said honestly. "Back on Earth, we trained to fight things much more dangerous." "More dangerous than the—" Eye stalks went limp with shock. "What kind of world did you evolve on?" Looked at the ambassador. "A world that made us strong, but also a world that taught us to protect the weak. That's what we do. That's who we are." Later in the council chamber, the whole station watched as addressed the humans formally. "Today, you showed us something we didn't know we needed to see," the speaker said. "You showed us that strength and kindness can exist together, that warriors can also be protectors. You saved dozens of lives without taking a single one." Stepped forward. "The council has made a decision. Humanity will be granted full membership with all rights and privileges. But more than that, we want to learn from you. Will you teach us? Will you help us become stronger?" Looked at his crew. They nodded. "We will," said. "But understand something. Strength isn't just about muscles. It's about courage. It's about standing up when everything tells you to run. It's about protecting others even when it's hard. If you want to learn these things, we'll teach you." As the council chamber erupted in agreement, Jin whispered too, "Did we just become galactic heroes?" "I think we just became galactic teachers," replied with a smile. Looked at the gathered aliens, so many different species, all looking at the humans with hope instead of fear. "Sir," she said quietly too, "I think we just changed the galaxy." Nodded. "I think you're right. The question is, are we ready for what comes next?" In the shadows of the station, the defeated leader watched the humans leave. His pride was hurt, but he was smart enough to recognize the truth. These were different from anything the galaxy had seen before. Word would spread, and word would reach those who needed to hear it most. The galaxy had been peaceful because it was weak. Now the humans had arrived. Everything was about to change. News traveled fast across the galaxy. Within a week, every civilized world knew about the humans from Earth, the who defeated the raiders without breaking a sweat. Some species were excited, others were curious, but one group was very, very concerned. The Empire had ruled the Eastern Spiral Arm for 300 years. They were the strongest military force in known space. They demanded tribute from weaker worlds. They made threats. They got what they wanted because nobody could stop them. They came from a world with gravity twice the galactic standard. This made them stronger than most species. They used this strength to control others. When they heard about humans from a world with gravity 3 times the standard, they saw a threat to their power. War Chief stood in his command ship, staring at the data about Earth. He was massive, even for a. His 4 arms were thick with muscle. His red skin was covered in battle scars. He had never lost a fight in his 40 years of life. "These humans think they're strong," he growled to his officers. "We will show them what real strength is. We will challenge them, and we will prove that they are still the strongest warriors in the galaxy." Captain received a formal challenge from the Empire. The message was clear. They wanted to test humanity's worth through a series of competitions. Combat trials, endurance tests, survival challenges, all on a high-gravity training world that they used to make their warriors stronger. "It's a trap," said, reading the challenge details. "They want to humiliate us." "Maybe," replied. "Or maybe they're scared and don't want to admit it. Either way, we can't refuse. If we back down, they'll think we're weak. If we fight and lose, at least we tried." Ambassador clicked nervously. "They are very dangerous, Captain. They've defeated every species they've challenged. Their world is harsh. Their training is brutal. They live for combat." Looked up from her medical scanner. "So do we. We just call it surviving on Earth." Earth Command decided to send a larger delegation. Commander Sung arrived on the next transport. She was older than, within her hair and scars on her hands from years of military service. With her came Lieutenant Wu, the best pilot in the Earth fleet, a combat medic who had served in every dangerous place on Earth, and a survival expert who could live anywhere. "This is important," Commander Sung told the assembled team. "We're not just representing Earth anymore. We're representing what humanity can be, strong but kind, tough but fair. We show them that don't have to be bullies." The competition would take place on 7, a high-gravity moon that they used for their toughest training. The gravity there was 2.5 times Earth standard. For humans, it would be uncomfortable. For most galactic species, it would be crushing. When the human delegation arrived, they found thousands of aliens watching. The Council had sent observers. News crews from 100 worlds pointed cameras at them, and War Chief waited with 50 of his best warriors. "Welcome, humans," said, his voice like grinding stone. "Today you will learn that strength alone does not make a warrior. You may have beaten simple pirates, but they are different. We are bred for war, trained from birth. We never surrender, we never fail." Commander Sung stepped forward calmly. "We didn't come here to fail either. We came to show you who we are." The first test was an endurance march. 20 kilometers across rough terrain, carrying heavy packs, in gravity that made every step feel like 3. Most species couldn't even start. The few who tried gave up within a kilometer. The warriors marched in formation, their 4 arms helping them balance under the weight. They moved steadily, confidently. They had done this march 1,000 times. The humans marched alongside them, led the way, her eyes scanning the ground, finding the easiest paths. "Watch your step," she called back. "Uneven ground ahead." "How is she so calm?" one warrior muttered. "This gravity should be crushing her." "She's from Earth," another replied. "Their gravity is worse than this." As they marched, did something they didn't expect. She started teaching. "See those plants over there? Those are edible. And that rock formation, it means water is nearby. If you were stranded here, you could survive." The warriors listened despite themselves. They had marched this route countless times but had never noticed these things. They were taught to endure, not to adapt. By the end of the march, all the humans completed it. So did most of the. But the humans weren't exhausted. They were barely tired. Lieutenant Wu was actually smiling. "That was a good warm-up," she said cheerfully. Stared at her. Warm-up, that march breaks most recruits. On Earth, Commander Sung explained, soldiers march in worse gravity, worse heat, worse cold. This is actually pretty nice. The second test was combat trials, hand-to-hand fighting in a ring. No weapons, no armor, just strength and skill. They sent their champion forward. He was enormous, even bigger than. His 4 arms moved like snakes, fast and coordinated. He had won 500 matches without a single loss. Commander Sung entered the ring. She was smaller, with only 2 arms, hair, and old enough to be the champion's mother. I will try not to hurt you too badly, old female, the champion said, trying to be respectful. Sung smiled. I appreciate that, I'll do the same. The fight started. The champion attacked with all 4 arms using moves perfected over decades. He was fast, he was strong, he was skilled. Commander Sung was better. She didn't use fancy moves. She didn't showboat. She just fought with the simple, brutal efficiency of someone who learned combat in Earth's military. Someone who survived wars, not just training exercises. She slipped past his guard, grabbed one arm, used his own momentum against him. In 3 seconds, the champion was on his back, staring at the sky, confused about what had happened. The crowd went silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Soon, aliens from a dozen worlds were cheering. Even some of the warriors were making their respect gesture, raising 2 arms in salute. Sung helped the champion up. You're good, she said honestly. You just need to fight smarter, not harder. The champion touched his head to hers, the gesture of respect for a superior warrior. Teach me, he said quietly. Over the next 2 days, more tests followed. Lieutenant Wu flew combat maneuvers in a ship that most pilots couldn't even lift off the ground. The gravity made every movement sluggish, every turn dangerous. She completed the course faster than any pilot ever had. It's like flying in molasses, she explained afterward. But on Earth we train in storms, we train at night, we train when everything is trying to kill you. This is hard, but we've done harder. Demonstrated field medicine. When one of the warriors was injured during a training accident, she rushed to help. She worked without the advanced medical equipment most galactic doctors required. Just basic tools, strong hands, and deep knowledge. On Earth, she explained while working, we don't always have fancy equipment. We learn to improvise. We learn to use what we have. The most impressive moment came during the survival challenge. Both teams were dropped in a hostile environment with no supplies. They had to find water, food, and shelter, then make it to an extraction point 50 kilometers away. The team did what they always did. They pushed through with pure toughness, ignoring thirst and hunger, marching relentlessly toward the goal. The human team did something different. Found water within an hour. She showed them which insects were safe to eat. She taught them how to make fire without tools. She built a shelter that kept them comfortable through the cold night. Survival isn't about being tough, explained to the watching aliens through the cameras. It's about being smart. It's about working with your environment, not against it. On Earth, we learned this over thousands of years. Now we're happy to share it. When both teams reached the extraction point, they were exhausted, dehydrated, and hungry. The humans were tired but healthy. More importantly, they had enjoyed themselves. This was fun, Jin said, stretching his muscles. Reminds me of camping trips back home. Camping trips? A warrior asked in disbelief. You do this for fun? Sure, Jin replied. On Earth, we go into the wilderness to relax, to get away from the stress of civilization. The warriors looked at each other. Their brutal survival challenge was humanity's relaxing vacation. On the final day, War Chief called his warriors and the humans together. The massive leader stood before them all, his red skin darker with thought. I called you here to test you, he said to the humans, to prove that they are still the strongest, but I was wrong, not about strength, about what strength means. He turned to his warriors. We thought strength was about power, about domination, about never showing weakness. But these humans showed us something different. They are strong, yes, stronger than us in many ways, but they use that strength to teach, to help, to protect. They don't need to prove they're strong. They just are. Approached Commander Sung and performed the full honor bow, all four arms crossed over his chest. You are true warriors, humans. Not because you defeated us, but because you showed us mercy when you could have shown pride. Will you teach us? Will you show the how to be strong like you? Sung looked then at her team. They all nodded. We'll teach you, she said, but you have to understand something. Real strength isn't about dominating others, it's about protecting them. Can you accept that? Was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled, showing his sharp teeth. Yes, this is the lesson we needed to learn. The galaxy feared because we were strong. We want them to respect us because we are good. As the humans prepared to leave thousands of warriors came to see them off. Each one performed the honor bow. Each one had learned something that day. On the transport back to the station, Wu looked at the others and laughed. We came here to prove we were tough. Instead, we made friends. That's the human way, said with a smile. We're too stubborn to make enemies when we could make friends instead. Looked out the window at the stars. Word is spreading. Other species are going to want to meet us now, to learn from us. Commander Sung nodded. Good, let them come. We have a lot to teach, and probably even more to learn. Back on 7, watched the human ship disappear into the stars. His second-in-command stood beside him. What do we do now, War Chief? The officer asked. Smiled. We train, but not just in combat. We learn to be like them, strong enough to fight, wise enough not to. That is the path of a true warrior. The news of the competition spread across the galaxy even faster than before. The humans hadn't just won. They had changed minds. They had made the strongest warriors in the galaxy question what strength really meant. And in countless worlds, species that had always been afraid began to hope. If the humans could change maybe they could change everything. The emergency broadcast reached every corner of the galaxy at the same time. The automated message was simple and terrifying. The colony world was in danger. A massive solar flare from its star would hit the planet in 72 hours. 4 million colonists needed to evacuate. But there was a problem. The flare would create a radiation storm. Any ship trying to rescue the colonists would be destroyed. Any crew member exposed to the radiation would die within minutes. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Every species sent their best scientists to find a solution. Captain sat in the council chamber with Commander Sung, watching as one expert after another explained why rescue was impossible. The radiation levels would be 1,000 times higher than what any known species could survive. Ship shields would fail. Life support would collapse. Any rescue attempt would just create more victims. Ambassadors sat at the front of the chamber, their eye stalks drooping with despair. My people, the ambassador whispered. 4 million of my people, we have to save them. Council speaker floated beside, one fin resting gently on the ambassador's shell. There is no way. The radiation will kill everyone who tries. I'm sorry, old friend. I'm so sorry. There must be something we can do, said desperately. Anything. Stood up. Every eye in the chamber turned to look at him. He walked to the front where the scientists were showing their data on massive screens. Numbers and charts showed just how deadly the radiation would be. Show me the exact radiation levels again, said quietly. A crystal scientist made the data appear. As you can see, the radiation will peak at 50,000 per hour. For reference, 5,000 is fatal to most galactic species. Nothing can survive in that environment. Studied the numbers carefully. He pulled out his personal data pad and started calculating something. Commander Sung joined him, looking over his shoulder. Her eyes went wide. "Are you thinking what I think you're thinking?" she asked. "Look at Earth's data," said, showing her his screen. "Our sun bombards us with radiation constantly. Our atmosphere protects us, but we still get exposed. Humans have evolved resistance, and these levels, while high, are survivable with proper shielding." Sung ran her own calculations. "You're right, it would be dangerous, very dangerous. We'd all get radiation poisoning, but we'd live long enough to complete the rescue." "Excuse me," the crystal scientist said. "Are you suggesting humans could survive in conditions that would kill every other known species?" "We're from Earth," replied simply. "Our planet has been trying to kill us with radiation for millions of years. We've adapted." The council chamber erupted in shocked conversation, stumbled forward, hope flickering in their eyes. "You could save them. You could really save my people." "We can try," Commander Sung said, "but we'll need every human ship available. We'll need to work fast, and we'll need to accept that this will hurt. But yes, we can try." 12 hours later, every human vessel in Council space gathered at. The fleet wasn't large. Earth was new to galactic society. They had sent 15 diplomatic ships, 3 cargo transports, and 5 escort fighters. 23 ships total. Each one had a human crew. But more humans had volunteered. Jin and Wu and even a young pilot who had just arrived from Earth with fresh supplies. Hundreds of humans who heard about the crisis and refused to let 4 million people die without trying. Captain stood on the bridge of his ship, now designated as the command vessel. Around him, screens showed the other ships in formation. Behind them, thousands of alien vessels watched from a safe distance. They couldn't help with the rescue, but they could document it. They could witness what the humans were about to do. "All ships report ready," announced from her tactical station. Opened a channel to the entire fleet. "Listen up, everyone, we're about to fly into hell. The radiation will start affecting us the moment we enter the storm. We'll have maybe 8 hours before we're too sick to function. We need to evacuate 4 million colonists in that time. That's about 174,000 evacuees per ship. We make multiple trips. We move fast. We don't stop until everyone is safe or we physically can't continue." "What if we can't get them all in time?" asked over the comm. "Then we keep going until we collapse," Commander Sung replied. "That's what humans do. We don't give up, ever." The fleet moved forward. The radiation storm was visible from space, a writhing mass of energy pouring from the star. It looked like an angry orange wave spreading across space, ready to destroy everything in its path. The first ships entered the storm. Immediately, alarms screamed. Radiation warnings flashed red on every console. The shields held, but they were already degrading. The humans felt it too, a strange warmth that seemed to come from inside their bones. On the surface of 4 million waited in designated evacuation zones. They had seen the human fleet approach. They had heard the broadcasts. Many of them were crying, not from fear, but from hope. The aliens everyone thought were terrifying were coming to save them. The ships landed in teams. The vessel touched down in the capital city. The cargo bay doors opened and refugees poured in. Families, carrying their few possessions, moving as fast as their 6 legs could carry them. "Keep moving," shouted, directing the crowds. "Everyone stays calm, we'll get you all out." The radiation was getting worse. Even through the ship's shields, the humans could feel it. Working in the medical bay monitored everyone's exposure levels. They were all rising fast, too fast. "Captain," she reported, "we're getting dangerous exposure. If we keep this up for 8 hours, we'll all need serious medical treatment." 8 hours is 8 hours more than these people have," replied. "Keep monitoring. We stay until we can't." The first evacuation run took 30 minutes. The ships, loaded with refugees, flew back through the radiation storm to the safe zone. There, alien vessels waited to receive them and take them to temporary shelters. Ambassador met each ship personally, touching their shell to every human crew member in the traditional gesture of deepest gratitude. "Thank you," the ambassador whispered over and over. "Thank you." "We're not done yet," Commander Sung said, her face already showing the pale color of early radiation sickness. "Still 3.5 million to go." The fleet returned to, again and again. Each trip took longer as the radiation grew worse. The ship's systems started failing. Life support struggled. Navigation became harder, but the humans kept going. Lieutenant Wu flew her fighter through the storm on the 6th run, her hands shaking from radiation exposure. "This is crazy," she muttered. "This is absolutely crazy. Why are we doing this?" "Because they need us," her co-pilot replied simply. "Because we can, because nobody else will." By hour 5, every human was showing serious symptoms. Nausea, weakness. Some were vomiting between evacuation runs. Worked constantly, giving everyone medication to help them function, but the radiation was relentless. "Captain reported, half the crew is barely functional. We should stop. We should rest." "Not until they're all safe," said. He was leaning against his chair, his skin, his hands trembling, but his voice was steady. "Not until every single one of them is off that planet." Jin, working in engineering, kept the shields running through sheer force of will and creative repairs. "Come on," he muttered to the machines. "Just a few more hours. You can do this. I know you can." The alien observers watched in stunned silence. Species from across the galaxy saw humans pushing themselves beyond what should be possible. They saw crews so sick they could barely stand, still piloting ships through deadly radiation. They saw people choosing certain suffering to save strangers. "Why?" one alien asked. "Why do they sacrifice so much?" Answered, tears streaming down their face. "Because that's what heroes do." Hour 7 came. 2 million were safe. 2 million more waited for rescue. The human fleet was falling apart. 3 ships had shield failures and couldn't return. Their crews were too sick to continue, but 20 ships still flew. Piloted through the storm, her vision blurring from exposure. "I can't see straight anymore," she admitted over the comm. "Follow my beacon," replied. "I'll guide you in. We're so close, we can't stop now." Hour 8 passed, then hour 9. The humans were dying slowly but surely. The radiation was cooking them from the inside, but they kept flying, they kept loading refugees, they kept going. Captain collapsed in his chair on the 11th hour, rushed to check on him, but he waved her away. "The mission," he gasped. "How many left?" 50,000, answered. She was crying now, tears of pain and exhaustion. "Just 50,000 more." "Then we get those 50,000, said, forcing himself upright. "We're not leaving anyone behind." The final evacuation run took place in hour 12. The human crews were barely conscious. Most of them couldn't walk without help, but they guided the last families onto the ships. They strapped them in. They launched one final time through the radiation storm. When the last ship cleared the storm and reached the safe zone, the fleet effectively shut down. Humans collapsed at their stations. Medical teams from a dozen alien species rushed aboard to help. The evacuation was complete. 4 million were safe. Ambassador found Captain in the medical bay. The captain was hooked to a dozen machines, his body fighting radiation poisoning that would have killed any other species 3 times over. "You saved them all," whispered, gently touching his hand. "Every single one of my people. You kept your word." Smiled weakly. "Told you we'd try." "You did more than try. You succeeded. You sacrificed yourselves for people you barely knew. Why?" "Because." Eyes were closing, exhaustion taking over. "Because it was right, because they needed help, because that's what humans do." As fell into a healing sleep, stood and addressed the medical bay filled with unconscious, dying humans. "I swear to you, to all of you, the galaxy will never forget this. You showed us what true courage looks like, what true strength means. You are not just, you are saviors." Throughout the galaxy, Billions watched the footage of the rescue. They saw humans flying into radiation that should have killed them instantly. They saw crews too sick to stand still saving lives. They saw people giving everything, asking for nothing in return. The galaxy had wondered what humans were. Now they knew. Humans were the people who ran toward danger when everyone else ran away. They were the ones who refused to accept that some things were impossible. They were the species who would rather die trying than live with not trying. In council chambers across civilized space, representatives from countless worlds made the same decision. They wanted humans as allies, as protectors, as friends, not because of their strength but because of their hearts. Ambassador stood before the full Galactic Council 7 days later. Behind the ambassador, Captain and his crew sat in honor seats. They were still recovering, still weak, but alive. All of them had survived. "We invited humanity into our galaxy," said their voice carrying across the chamber. "We welcomed with fear and caution, but now we know the truth. These humans, these wonderful, crazy, impossible humans are exactly what the galaxy needs. They are our protectors, our teachers, our heroes, and if they will have us, we would be honored to call them our family." The council chamber erupted in cheers from every species present. For the first time in galactic history, every single member voted the same way. Humanity was granted full membership, full honors, and the eternal gratitude of 4 million who lived because decided that impossible just meant very, very difficult. 3 months had passed since the rescue. Captain stood in the medical facility watching the last of the radiation scars fade from his skin. The alien doctors said it was a miracle that all the human rescuers survived. Knew it wasn't a miracle. It was just human stubbornness refusing to die. The galaxy had changed in those 3 months, changed in ways nobody expected. Ambassador found in the observation deck later that day. The diplomat moved more slowly now, with more care. The rescue had changed too. Losing and then regaining 4 million people in one day does something to a person. Captain said softly, "I have news. The council wants to meet with you and your crew. They have a proposal." "What kind of proposal?" "The kind that will change everything." In the council chamber, thousands of representatives from hundreds of worlds waited. Entered with his crew, walked beside him fully recovered, carried her medical kit always ready. Jin looked around at the alien technology with his usual wonder. Commander Sung led the rest of the human delegation, including Wu and Myra, a communications specialist who had helped coordinate the rescue. Council speaker floated in the center of the chamber. "Humans of Earth, you have been with us for only a short time, but in that time you have changed our entire civilization. You defeated pirates we thought were unbeatable. You taught warriors the true meaning of strength. You saved 4 million lives from certain death. Now the Council has a question for you." Stepped forward. "For billions of years the galaxy has been peaceful, but we now realize it was peaceful because it was easy. We evolved on gentle worlds where survival was simple. We never had to become strong because we never needed to be. Then you arrived. You showed us what true strength looks like, what courage really means. We don't want to just thank you, we want to learn from you. We want you to help us become better." Continued. The Council proposes the creation of the Corps, a galactic organization led by humans, designed to respond to crises we cannot handle, to rescue those we cannot save, to teach us what you have learned from surviving on the hardest world in known space. Will you accept this responsibility? Looked at his crew, they all nodded. He turned back to the Council. "Yes, but understand something. We're not here to make you like us. We're here to help you become the best versions of yourselves. Every species has strengths. Every world teaches different lessons. Earth taught us to survive the impossible. Your worlds taught you peace, cooperation, and knowledge. Together, we can build something better than any of us could alone." The Council erupted in agreement. The decision was made. Humanity would become the galaxy's protectors, teachers, and first responders. The next months were a whirlwind of activity. Commander Sung took charge of training programs. She started with the warriors who had requested human teaching. In a facility on 7, she taught them her philosophy. Strength without wisdom is just violence, she told a class of young. Wisdom without strength is just theory. You need both. Watch. She demonstrated a combat move, simple but effective. The students tried to copy her. Most failed at first, but Sung was patient. She worked with each one, showing them how to think like a human warrior, how to turn an opponent's strength against them, how to win without unnecessary harm. One young named stayed after class. "Commander, why do you care if we learn this? We were your enemies once." Sung smiled. "You were never our enemies. You were just people we hadn't met yet. And now that we know you, we want you to be safe. That's what friends do." Perform the honor bow, all 4 arms crossed. "I want to be like you, strong and kind." "Then you will be," Sung replied. "Because you've already taken the first step. You've decided to be better." Across the galaxy, other humans were making similar impacts. Doctor established the first cross-species medical research facility. She worked with alien doctors, combining human knowledge of trauma medicine with galactic understanding of different biologies. "On Earth," she explained to a class of medical students, "we learned to treat injuries in terrible conditions. Battlefield medicine, emergency care with limited resources. Now I want to teach you these techniques, not because you'll need them in war, but because accidents happen, disasters occur. And when they do, you need to know how to save lives with whatever you have." One of her students, a crystalline being named, asked, "But we have advanced equipment, regeneration chambers, cellular repair systems. Why learn primitive methods?" Held up a simple bandage. "Because sometimes the power goes out. Sometimes the equipment breaks. Sometimes all you have is your knowledge in your hands. Equipment fails, skills don't." Lieutenant Wu became the head flight instructor for extreme conditions. She taught pilots from a dozen species how to fly in situations they had always considered impossible. Storms, high gravity, radiation zones. "Your species evolved in easy environments," she told her students. "So your instincts are wrong for hard situations. You need to retrain your brain. On Earth, we learned to fly in typhoons, in sandstorms, in conditions that wanted to kill us. Now I'll teach you how we did it." One of her best students was named, "Lieutenant Wu, I'm scared. What if I crash? What if I can't do this?" Wu put a hand on Shell. "Being scared is good. Fear keeps you alert, but don't let it control you. Feel the fear, acknowledge it, then fly anyway. That's courage." Became the first non-human pilot to complete Wu's advanced course. The young cried with joy at graduation. "I thought I was too weak, too scared, but you showed me I was wrong." "You were never weak," Wu said. "You just needed someone to show you your own strength." Traveled to worlds that had always been considered uninhabitable. High-gravity planets, toxic atmospheres, extreme temperatures. She showed the galaxy that with the right knowledge, life could exist anywhere. On a frozen moon that no species had ever colonized, she established the first permanent settlement. Aliens watched in amazement as she built shelters from ice, found water in frozen soil, and created a thriving community in conditions they thought were impossible. "Life finds a way," she told the news crews that came to document her work. "You just have to be clever enough to help it along. Earth taught us that. Now we're sharing that knowledge." Jin revolutionized engineering across the galaxy. He showed alien engineers how humans built things, not with the most advanced technology, but with the most reliable. Simple designs that worked even when everything else failed. "We call it redundancy," he explained at a galactic engineering conference. "On Earth, if something can break, it will break. So we build backups, and backups for the backups. It's not fancy, but it works." His methods were adopted by shipbuilders across the galaxy. Human-inspired designs became the new standard for emergency vessels and rescue craft. Established the first field hospital that could operate in extreme conditions. She trained medics from hundreds of species in techniques that Earth's military had perfected over centuries. You can't always bring patients to the hospital, she taught. Sometimes you have to bring the hospital to the patients, even if that means working in the middle of a disaster zone. One of her students asked, "How do you stay calm when everything is chaos?" Smiled, "I don't. I'm terrified every time. But I've learned that you can be scared and still do your job. In fact, being scared means you understand how serious the situation is. That makes you more careful, not less capable." But the biggest change came from something unexpected. The humans didn't just teach skills, they taught hope. Myra, the communications specialist, started a program called Stories from Earth. She shared human history with the galaxy, the struggles, the failures, the times humanity almost didn't make it. "We've been to the brink of extinction dozens of times," she told audiences across civilized space. Wars, plagues, natural disasters, moments when it looked like humanity would die out, but we survived. Not because we were strong, because we refused to give up, because we helped each other, because we believed tomorrow could be better than today. The stories resonated across the galaxy. Species that had always been timid found courage. Worlds that had avoided challenges started taking risks. The peaceful civilizations realized that peace without strength was just luck waiting to run out. A year after the rescue, Captain stood on the bridge of a new ship. The Horizon Dawn had been rebuilt, larger and stronger. It was now the flagship of the Corps. Around him, his crew had grown, commanded the tactical division, led medical response. Jin headed engineering corps. All of them had trained thousands of aliens in human methods. But the ship wasn't crewed only by humans anymore. Warriors served alongside Earth soldiers. Pilots flew with Wu's graduates. Alien medics worked with trainees. The Corps had become a truly galactic organization, united by one principle: help those who need it, no matter the cost. Ambassador visited the Horizon Dawn on its launch day. The old moved carefully now, age and stress taking their toll, but their eyes still sparkled with life. Captain said, "A year ago we invited you to join our civilization. We thought we were welcoming dangerous outsiders. We were wrong. We weren't welcoming you into our galaxy. You were welcoming us into yours. You showed us a bigger, braver, better version of what we could be." Smiled, "We showed you what you already had inside you. The courage was always there. You just needed a reason to use it." "What happens now?" asked. Looked at the star map on the main screen. It showed hundreds of worlds in Council space, and beyond that, thousands more unexplored systems, dangers, opportunities, lives waiting to be saved. "Now we do what humans have always done," said. "We explore, we help, we learn, we teach. We make the galaxy a little bit safer, one crisis at a time." Join them on the bridge. "Sir, we're receiving distress calls, 3 different systems, natural disasters, they're asking for the Corps." "Can we help all 3? Asked. "It'll be difficult," replied with a grin, "but when has that ever stopped us?" Laughed, "Good point. Commander Sung, coordinate with the other Corps ships. Let's show the galaxy what we can do when we work together. All species, all worlds, one team." As the Horizon Dawn powered up its engines, watched the crew work. Humans and aliens side by side, preparing to rush toward danger instead of away from it. The ambassador felt something they hadn't felt in years: pride. "Thank you," whispered. "Thank you for teaching us to be brave." The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, disappearing in a flash of light. Behind it, across the galaxy, hundreds of other ships followed. The Corps was answering the call. Humans and aliens together, ready to face the impossible. In the quiet of the observation deck, an alien child asked their parent, "What are?" The parent, a peaceful herbivore from a garden world, thought for a moment. Once they would have said monsters or dangerous, but now they knew better. The parent said gently, are the people who come when nobody else can. They're the ones who face the impossible and make it possible. They're heroes who don't think they're heroes. They're just people doing what's right, even when it's hard. And because of them, the whole galaxy is safer. Are all humans? The child asked. Yes, but that's not the amazing part. The amazing part is that they're teaching all of us to be too. They're showing us that we're stronger than we ever knew, braver than we believed, more capable than we imagined. That's the real gift they gave us, not their strength, their belief that we could be strong too. The child looked up at the stars where the horizon dawn had disappeared. When I grow up, I want to be like them. The parent hugged their child close. You will be, little one, we all will be. That's the future they're building for us. A galaxy where everyone is brave enough to help, strong enough to care, kind enough to try. That's what really are, and thanks to the humans we're all becoming now. Far across space, on a distant ship heading toward its next crisis, Captain stood with his crew. They didn't know about the conversation, didn't know they were changing the galaxy's future with every action. They were just people trying to help. And in the end, that was the most important lesson Earth had to teach. You didn't need to be the strongest or the bravest. You just needed to care. You just needed to try. You just needed to believe that one person or one species could make a difference. The humans had come from but they had turned the entire galaxy into a place worth living for. And that was the greatest victory of all.